Hi guys, this is Mrs. Bostic, and again this is how to write an argument essay, writing your essay for PV Online. This information was adapted from How to Make an Argument Essay from Wiki How Online. We're going to get started. Thanks. Step 1, your introduction. One of the most important things to do when you're writing an argument paper is to have a strong introduction. In an introduction, you begin with giving your reader an explanation of the topic you'll be writing about. Tell them what it is and where the problem is. Once you've done that, you're going to tell them your solution to the problem, which is where you're going to state your claim or thesis. Wrap up the introduction by telling them that your idea is right and giving a brief explanation of how you are going to make your argument or the type of evidence you will use. For your introduction, the introduction should be a full paragraph, and it needs to include your claim/thesis. So this will be your main point of view or claim that you're going to use for the entire argument essay, and we're going to call it your thesis because it is your main thesis for the paper. Some ideas to begin your introduction may be to start with a description or a story or an example. This is a good time to get your reader hooked by giving some kind of example or story or description that has them interested. You can also use a direct quote from your research. Maybe you found a direct quote that just sums up exactly how you feel about this particular subject. And then the last option that you can always use is to do a question. Sometimes you can begin your introduction with a question, and that makes it easy for the reader to see where you're going to go. Step 2 is make your argument. You're going to split each of your arguments into its own paragraph or section of the paper, and those paragraphs are going to be your body paragraphs. You should make it very clear when you move from one argument to another. When you make your argument, the beginning sentence or topic sentence of each paragraph should hint at what the paragraph will be about, and the final sentence should act as both a conclusion to that paragraph, wrapping up the argument, and a logical transition to the next. Step 2, make your argument. There are many different types of arguments, and you can use more than one type in any given paper. The first one we're going to look at is logos, or the appeal to reason. This relies heavily on logic or reason. Logos often depends on the use of inductive or deductive reasoning. The next type of argument you might use is ethos, or the ethical appeal, and it's based on the character, credibility, or reliability of the writer. And the last form of argument that you might use is pathos, or emotional appeal, and this appeals to an audience's needs, values, and emotional sensibilities. For your transitions, you want to use smooth transitions that move logically from one argument to the next, and this will help your audience follow your train of thought. Keeping them on your same line of thinking will help them more easily come to your same conclusions. Step 4, we're going to use evidence. Simply using an argumentative style or appealing to someone's logic or emotions won't be enough. To write a good argumentative essay, you'll want to provide lots of evidence. For each argument that you make, you will want to have evidence to back it up, and hopefully multiple examples for each argument. For the evidence that you can use statistics, data, expert opinions, scholarly articles, respected texts, quality journalistic reporting, and other evidence, all woven into the text of your paper. If you're looking how to make claims, we have another tutorial that you can check out that talks about types of evidence, and that will give you some more ideas of where to find evidence that you might want to use in your paper. Step number 5 is important. Cite your sources. You want to cite credible sources for your evidence, and it will always make your arguments look stronger. You can paraphrase the information and use internal citations, or you can use direct quotes from your credible sources or excerpts to make your argument look even stronger. For step number 6, you want to make sure that you know both sides of your argument so that you can have your claims and your counterclaims. You will need to be very well acquainted with the evidence and arguments for the other side of the argument you are making. For step number 7, a convincing conclusion. Always write your conclusion last. Oftentimes you might not know exactly what you're saying until you've said it. Save the conclusion for last and save yourself the trouble of having to rewrite it later. a few tips to help you write your paper. The first one is keep the scope of your essay limited. You have to focus on one problem. So make sure when you are looking at your essay topics that you pick one that you can get a good side to, something that you can defend with some good arguments and pull up some counter arguments to illustrate your ideas, and make sure that your essay stays focused. Now, here's another tip. The best verifiable source is a book. If you can, spend your time in the library reading a book that is relevant to the topic you want to discuss. You can use the library at school, you can go to the public library. There's lots of places that you can find books where you can use for this type of information. You can also watch documentary films about the topics or use credible resources from the internet. But again, remember to be selective on which resources you use from the internet, because some of them are not always absolutely accurate, or some of them come from questionable resources. And last but not least, a friendly reminder: plagiarism is a form of cheating. So originality is the main point here. So our little video says, what do you mean all my facts are wrong? I copied everything straight off the internet. If you are cutting and pasting things directly into your paper, you're probably doing it wrong. What you want to do instead is just find a few selective quotes that you would like to use, possibly from one of your resources, and you can even make note cards and source cards if you want to, just like you would in a research paper, so that you can have them readily available. But either way, you want to make sure that you're using your own work, you're writing your own paper, because if you do copy and paste it off the internet, first of all, it's actually really easy for us to figure that out. It doesn't take us very long to figure out where you got it from. And the second thing is that the whole point of this process is to teach you how to write. I know that you know how to copy and paste, but what I want to know is if you can actually write and come up with some authentic, incredible ideas on your own. All right, so that's just a quick reminder of how to write your argumentative essay. Again, any questions, or if you have any, need any help or have any problems, please contact your teacher. We love to hear from you guys. All right, talk to you soon. Have a good one. Bye.